Close your eyes and let your breath find its natural rhythm. Feel your body settling into this moment, into this quiet space where truth meets tenderness. Tonight, we journey together into the hidden landscapes of your inner world, where old wounds carry stories your conscious mind has long forgotten. Yet your body remembers with exquisite detail. There is a weight you carry that has no name. It lives in the space between your heartbeats, in the pause before you speak your deepest truth, in the hesitation before you reach for what you most desire. This weight is not your enemy, is the accumulated wisdom of every moment when you needed to protect yourself, when love felt dangerous, when dreams seemed too fragile for this harsh world. Your nervous system is a library of experiences, each memory catalogued not in words but in sensations, in the subtle tightening of your chest when certain topics arise, in the way your stomach contracts when you think of that thing you want but tell yourself you cannot have. Every unprocessed emotion becomes a frequency in your personal electromagnetic field, broadcasting its signal into the quantum realm that surrounds and interpenetrates your being. This is where the mystery deepens, where science meets the sacred. The observer affects that profound principle of quantum physics reveals that consciousness doesn't just witness reality, it actively participates in its creation. But here's what most people don't understand. You are always observing, always collapsing wave functions, always participating in the dance of possibility becoming reality. The question is not whether you're creating your experience, but from which part of yourself you're creating it. When your heart carries the shadow of old pain, when your nervous system remains locked in patterns of protection and vigilance, your observation of reality becomes filtered through these unhealed places. Like looking through colored glass, everything you perceive takes on the hue of your inner wounds. The quantum field responds not to your wishful thinking, but to the authentic frequency of your being, including the parts you'd rather hide, the parts that hurt, the parts that learnt long ago that wanting leads to disappointment. You might have noticed this in your own life. Perhaps you've tried to manifest abundance while carrying deep shame about your worthiness. Maybe you've attempted to call in love while your nervous system screams that intimacy equals danger. Or you've reached for your dreams while an inner voice whispers that people like you don't get to have what they want. This isn't failure. This isn't evidence that manifestation doesn't work or that you're broken. This is your system functioning exactly as it's designed, to protecting you from perceived threats, even when those threats live only in the shadows of yesterday's pain. Your subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between a memory and a present moment experience. It only knows the frequency of safety or danger, expansion or contraction, love or fear. The quantum field that responds to your consciousness is infinitely compassionate. It doesn't judge your wounds or dismiss your pain. Instead, it mirrors back to you with perfect precision the energetic truth of your inner world. When you broadcast frequencies of unworthiness, the field responds with experiences that match that vibration. When you emit the signature of scarcity consciousness, reality arranges itself to confirm that belief. This isn't punishment, it's information. It's your own consciousness speaking back to you through the language of lived experience. But tonight, as you rest in this space between sleep and waking, something profound is already shifting. By bringing gentle awareness to these hidden weights, by acknowledging the sacred wounds that have shaped your reality, you begin to change your relationship with them. Awareness itself is a form of love, and love is the force that transmutes energy from one form to another. Your pain is not a barrier to your dreams, it's compost for your transformation. Every wound carries within it the seeds of wisdom. Every trauma holds the blueprint for its own healing. The parts of yourself that learned to hide, to diminish, to play small in order to survive, are not obstacles to your manifestation power. They are the very places where your authentic strength will emerge once you learn to hold them with tenderness instead of resistance. The nervous system that now guards against disappointment once knew how to trust completely. The heart that now protects itself from hurt once beat with unlimited faith in love's possibility. These capacities haven't been destroyed. They've been temporarily buried beneath layers of necessary protection. But protection was meant to be temporary, a bridge between danger and safety, not a permanent dwelling place. As you sink deeper into rest, feel your body releasing the need to carry this weight alone. You were never meant to heal in isolation. The quantum field itself conspires in your favor, arranging synchronicities and opportunities for transformation that your conscious mind could never orchestrate alone. Every breath you take in this moment is an act of trust, a gentle rebellion against the old patterns that once kept you small. The observer effect works both ways. You shape reality, but reality also shapes you through its constant invitation to grow, to heal, to remember who you were before the world taught you to forget. Tonight, as ancient wounds begin their slow transformation into wisdom, know that your dreams are not distant. They are simply waiting for you to heal the parts of yourself that learned to believe they were impossible. What if your deepest wounds were actually your greatest gifts in disguise, waiting patiently for your love to transform them into the very qualities that would make your dreams not just possible, but inevitable? Breathe with me now and feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Notice how your body naturally knows this rhythm, this sacred dance between receiving and releasing. Your heart beats approximately 100,000 times each day, and with every pulse, it creates an electromagnetic field that extends 3 feet beyond your physical form. This invisible signature of who you are radiates outward like ripples on an infinite pond, carrying messages you may not even realize you're sending. Tonight, as you settle deeper into this moment of stillness, imagine your heart as a broadcasting station, not the mechanical organ pumping blood through your veins, but the energetic center that translates every emotion, every memory, every unspoken fear into a frequency that touches the quantum field around you. This field responds to you with perfect precision, like a cosmic echo that reflects back exactly what you transmit. But here lies the mystery that keeps over so many souls trapped in cycles of disappointment. Your electromagnetic heart speaks its truth regardless of what your thinking mind desires, while your conscious thoughts may reach toward love, abundance, and peace. Your deeper energetic signature might be whispering stories of unworthiness, scarcity, and disconnection into the listening universe. Feel your breath slow now, allowing your nervous system to recognize safety in this exploration. Fear, you see, vibrates at a particular frequency, low, dense, constricted. It moves through your energy field like static interference on an old radio, creating chaos where clarity once lived. When fear becomes the dominant signal broadcasting from your heart space, you become like a lighthouse calling forth storms instead of guiding ships safely to shore. This is not your fault. Your wounded parts learned to speak in the language of fear long before you understood you had a choice in the conversation. Perhaps as a small child, you discovered that worry felt safer than hope because hope had led to disappointment. Maybe you learned that expecting rejection protected you from the sting of abandonment. These protective mechanisms carved neural pathways in your developing brain, creating automatic responses that still fire decades later. Your shadow energy, those aspects of yourself you've pushed into the darkness, becomes an unconscious architect of your reality, like a master builder working in the middle of the night. It constructs experiences that match the blueprints drawn by your deepest fears. If abandonment lives in your cells as an unhealed wound, your energy field broadcasts this frequency of separation, and the quantum consciousness around you responds by orchestrating encounters that confirm your deepest terror, that you are indeed alone. Allow your body to sink deeper into wherever you're resting now. Notice how the earth beneath you offers unconditional support, asking nothing in return. This is the nature of the quantum field. Doesn't judge your frequencies as good or bad. It simply responds with mathematical precision to whatever signal you're broadcasting most consistently. Think of a person who perpetually finds themselves in relationships with emotionally unavailable partners. Their conscious mind yearns for deep connection, yet their heart carries the frequency of an old wound that whispers, "Love equals pain." This electromagnetic signature draws toward them partners who mirror their internal landscape of emotional distance. The observer effect in quantum physics tells us that consciousness shapes reality through the act of observation. But what if your wounded consciousness is doing the observing? Your nervous system holds the memory of every moment you felt unsafe, every instance when trust was broken, every time love felt like a luxury you couldn't afford. These memories don't just live in your mind, they're encoded in your body's electromagnetic field, creating a vibrational story that precedes you into every room, every relationship, every opportunity for expansion. When your energy fields KS in frequencies of fear, it's not because you're broken or flawed. It's because some part of you is still that frightened child, that heartbroken teenager, that young adult who learned that the world could be a dangerous place. These aspects of yourself deserve compassion, not condemnation. They were doing their best to keep you safe with the limited understanding they possessed. But here's what your younger self couldn't have known: the very mechanisms that once protected you may now be the bars of your own prison. The hypervigilance that kept you alert to danger now prevents you from recognizing safety when it appears. The emotional walls that shielded your heart from further injury now block the love you're desperately seeking from entering. Feel your breath naturally deepening as you consider this with gentle curiosity rather than judgment. Your electromagnetic heart is always speaking, always broadcasting, always in conversation with the infinite field of possibility that surrounds you. When fear becomes your primary frequency, you begin to experience what scientists call quantum coherence in reversing, instead of aligning with the unified field of love and possibility. You become entangled with the frequency of limitation. This entanglement draws experiences toward you that match your deepest beliefs about what you deserve. If unworthiness pulses through your energy field like a beacon, you may find yourself repeatedly passed over for promotions, settling for relationships that feel familiar in their emotional unavailability, or sabotaging opportunities just as they begin to flourish. Your external reality becomes a perfect mirror of your internal electromagnetic signature, but recognition is the first step toward transformation. Tonight, as you rest in this space between waking and sleeping, you're beginning to understand that you are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a participant in their creation. This realization might feel overwhelming, but it's actually the doorway to your freedom. If your energy field has been unconsciously creating experiences that match your wounds, then healing those wounds can shift your entire reality. Your nervous system right now is learning to find safety in this new awareness. Each slow, conscious breath you take begins to shift your electromagnetic signature from chaos to coherence, like tuning a radio to a clearer frequency. You're gradually adjusting your internal broadcasting system to transmit love instead of fear, possibility instead of limitation, worthiness instead of shame. Imagine for a moment that your energy field is like a garden that's been growing wild. The soil is rich with potential, but weeds of old fears have taken root alongside the flowers of your dreams. You don't need to violently uproot everything at once. Instead, with patience and gentle attention, you can begin to tend this sacred space within you, nurturing what serves your highest good while composting what no longer serves into fertile ground for new growth. As you drift closer to sleep, let yourself wonder what would happen if your electromagnetic heart began broadcasting frequencies of self-love. What reality might emerge if your energy field spoke fluent worthiness? What dreams might take root in the quantum soil of your transformed consciousness? These questions don't need answers tonight. They need only the gentle space of your wondering, the soft curiosity of your heart, and the trust that transformation is already beginning in the quantum depths of your being. Your energy field is learning a new language, one whispered word, one conscious breath, one moment of self-compassion at a time. Close your eyes and breathe with me. Feel your body settling into this moment, like sediment finding its place at the bottom of a still pond. Your nervous system begins to recognize safety, the way a bird knows when the storm has passed. Somewhere in the quantum field of your being, old wounds pulse with their own frequency. These aren't just memories, they're living information, suspended between what was and what could be, like light that has traveled from distant stars. Your emotional experiences carry their energy forward through time, creating ripples that shape how you move through the world today. Your body remembers everything. The way your mother's voice changed when she was overwhelmed. The silence that filled rooms when love felt conditional. The moment your young heart decided it was safer to hide than to hope. These experiences didn't simply happen and fade, they became encoded in your personal quantum field, creating interference patterns that still influence how your energy flows. Think of trauma as a wave function that never fully collapsed. In quantum physics, possibilities exist in superposition until the moment of observation forces them into reality. Your emotional wounds live in this same suspended state, oscillating between healing and harm, between integration and fragmentation. They wait in the shadows of your consciousness, neither fully resolved nor completely abandoned. Your shadow self knows this truth intimately. It carries the tender fragments you've been afraid to touch, the rage you couldn't express, the grief you couldn't process, the terror you couldn't name. But your shadow isn't your enemy. It's the keeper of your wholeness, holding space for every part of you that couldn't find a safe place to exist in the light. The quantum mind operates beyond the linear constraints of time. It doesn't distinguish between past and present, only responds to the frequency you're broadcasting now. This is why a childhood wound can feel as fresh as yesterday's pain, why your body can react to safety as if it were danger, why healing sometimes feels like remembering something you never learnt. Your nervous system has been listening to these quantum frequencies for years, decades perhaps. It has organized itself around the information stored in your emotional wounds, creating patterns of protection that once served you but may now limit you. The hypervigilance that kept you safe as a child, the emotional numbing that helped you survive overwhelming feelings. the chronic tension that prepared your body for threats that may never come. But here's what your healing journey has been teaching you. Every wound carries within it the seed of its own transformation, like a quantum particle that exists in multiple states simultaneously. Your trauma holds both the memory of harm and the blueprint for healing. The same energy that created the wound can be channeled toward your liberation. Your breath right now is performing this miracle. With each exhale, your nervous system releases information that no longer serves. With each inhale, you draw in new possibilities, fresh frequencies that can overwrite old patterns. This isn't positive thinking, this is quantum restructuring. At the cellular level, the tenderness you bring to your healing matters more than you know. Approaching your wounds like moonlight touching water, gentle, patient, luminous, allows transformation to occur naturally. Force creates resistance. Judgment creates contraction. But tender curiosity creates the coherent quantum state where healing becomes possible. Your emotional fragments begin to remember their wholeness when they feel this quality of attention. The part of you that learned to be small can expand. The part that learned to be silent can find its voice. The part that learned to be invisible can step into presence, not through effort, but through the simple recognition that these fragments were never broken, they were protecting something precious. This is the observer effect in your inner world. Your conscious awareness, when brought to bear on old wounds with love instead of analysis, changes the very nature of what you're observing. The trauma that once felt solid and immutable begins to reveal its fluid, changeable nature. What seemed like permanent damage shows itself to be energy temporarily organized in patterns of protection. Your quantum field responds to this shift immediately. The interference patterns that created confusion in your energy begin to resolve into clarity. The emotional static that clouded your intuition starts to clear. You begin to broadcast a different frequency, not because you've forced yourself to change, but because you've allowed yourself to remember who you were before the wounds taught you to forget. As you rest here in this recognition, notice how your body feels different. The chronic tension in your shoulders might soften slightly. The tightness in your chest might expand just a breath. Your nervous system is already beginning to reorganize around this new information, creating space for more ease, more flow, more authentic presence. The shadow that once felt heavy with unprocessed pain begins to reveal its gifts. Your sensitivity becomes a superpower for reading energy and creating beauty. Your emotional intensity transforms into passion for what matters most. The depth of your wounds mirrors the vastness of your capacity to love, to heal, to hold space. For others on their own quantum journeys, you don't need to fix yourself because you were never broken. You only need to create the conditions for your natural wholeness to emerge, like a flower that blooms not through force, but through the patient gathering of light. Your healing happens in quantum moments, sudden shifts in perception that reorganize everything that came before. Rest now in this knowing. Let your breathing become even slower, even deeper. Feel your body settling into the truth that your wounds are not your identity, they are temporary organizations of energy that are already beginning to transform in the presence of your loving awareness. Your quantum field pulses with infinite possibility. Every moment offers a new choice about which frequency to embody, which reality to collapse. From the field of potential into the experience of now WA. At frequency will you choose to broadcast as you drift toward sleep? There is a place within you where forgotten pieces of your soul wait in patient silence. These are not broken parts, they are treasure chambers, sealed away by a younger you, who believed that hiding certain feelings would keep you safe. Tonight, As your breath deepens and your body settles into stillness, imagine yourself as an alchemist of the heart, ready to transform what was once hidden into sacred gold. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is the repository of every emotion you couldn't afford to feel, every truth you couldn't speak, every aspect of yourself that seemed too dangerous to acknowledge. Like particles existing in quantum superposition, simultaneously here and not here, these disowned parts of you hover at the edges of your awareness, waiting for the observer effect of your compassion to call them home. Feel your chest rise and fall. With each exhale, you create space. With each inhale, you invite what has been separate to return. This is the beginning of sacred alchemy, not the destruction of what you've deemed unworthy, but the gentle integration of all frequencies. Of your human experience, think of a child who learned that anger was dangerous, so they buried it deep. That anger didn't disappear. It transformed into a quantum frequency, vibrating beneath conscious awareness. Or perhaps you learned that sadness was weakness, so you locked it away in the dark corners of your being. These emotions, like energy itself, can neither be created nor destroyed. They simply change form, waiting for the moment when you're ready to witness them with love. Your nervous system remembers everything, every moment you betrayed your own feelings to keep the peace. Every time you smiled when you wanted to scream, every instance you said "I'm fine" when your heart was breaking. These memories live in your body as contracted energy, as held breath, as tension that speaks the language your mind has forgotten. But tonight, you are the observer. Tonight, you collapse the wave function of denial and allow what is hidden to become visible. This is not about reliving pain. It is about quantum integration, the sacred alchemy that transforms separation into wholeness. Imagine your shadow as a wise underground river, flowing beneath the landscape of your conscious mind. This river carries the gold of your authentic power, the fierce love that you called aggression, the profound sensitivity that you labeled as weakness, the raw creativity that you feared was too wild for this world. The river has been flowing all along, waiting for you to kneel beside its banks and cup its waters in your hands. Your body knows the way back to these lost parts. Notice where you hold tension as you consider the aspects of yourself you've learned to hide. Is there tightness in your throat, the place where unspoken truths lodge themselves? Perhaps your chest feels heavy with the weight of unexpressed emotions, or maybe your jaw clenches with the effort of holding back words that wanted to be born. These physical sensations are not obstacles to overcome. They are sacred messengers, quantum events occurring in the field of your awareness. Each sensation is a frequency seeking recognition, a part of you ready to be welcomed home. The alchemy begins when you breathe into these places with curiosity instead of resistance. Consider the observer. Effect in quantum physics, how the very act of observation changes the behavior of particles. When you witness your shadow with loving awareness instead of judgment, something profound shifts. The energy that was once contracted begins to flow. The emotions that were frozen in time begin to thaw. The parts of you that were exiled start their journey home. This is not a violent process. It requires the gentleness you would offer a frightened animal. Your disowned aspects have been protecting themselves in the only way they knew how, by hiding. When you approach them with the fierce tenderness of a mother welcoming a lost child, they begin to trust that it's safe to emerge. Feel the quantum frequency of acceptance flowing through your being. This acceptance doesn't mean you have to act on every impulse or express every feeling. It means you stop expending energy to keep parts of yourself locked away. It means you allow the full spectrum of your humanity to exist within the sacred container of your awareness. The alchemy happens in the space between breathing in and breathing out. In that pause, you are neither the person who hides from their truth, nor the person who judges their feelings. You are pure witness, the conscious observer who creates space for all things to exist and transform. Your shadow work is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming whole. It is about recognizing that every emotion you've ever felt was information. Every impulse you've suppressed was energy-seeking expression. Every part of yourself you've disowned was simply asking to be understood. Like an ancient alchemist working with base metals, you begin to see that what you once considered worthless is actually raw material for gold. Your anger might be boundary-setting wisdom in disguise. Your sadness might be profound sensitivity that connects you to the depth of existence. Your fear might be intuition wrapped in protective clothing. The quantum field responds to your integration. As you welcome the exiled parts of yourself home, you begin to vibrate at the frequency of wholeness. You no longer leak energy through the cracks of self-betrayal. You no longer fragment your power by keeping aspects of yourself in exile. You become quantum coherent, all parts of you flowing in the same direction, like light focused through a lens. This coherence changes everything. When you are no longer at war with yourself, when you no longer spend precious life force hiding from your own truth, you become available for quantum manifestation in ways that seemed impossible before. The universe responds to your undivided attention, your integrated presence, your willingness to show up as all of who you are. Feel your body relaxing deeper as you consider this possibility. What would it be like to move through the world without the exhausting effort of managing your image, without the constant vigilance required to keep your shadow hidden? What would it feel like to breathe without the constriction of suppressed emotions, to speak without filtering your truth through the lens of others' expectations? The sacred alchemy of shadow work is not a destination, it is a practice of return. Each day offers new opportunities to notice where you abandon yourself, where you betray your authentic impulses in service of an outdated story about who you should be. Each moment of awareness is a chance to choose integration over separation, wholeness over fragmentation. Your nervous system begins to remember what safety feels like when you stop running from yourself. The dysregulation that comes from internal conflict starts to settle into the steady rhythm of self-acceptance. Your body becomes a temple where all aspects of your humanity are welcome, where nothing needs to be hidden or ashamed. As you drift toward sleep, imagine yourself as both the alchemist and the gold. You contain within you everything you need for transformation. Your shadow is not something to conquer, but something to embrace, not a problem to solve, but a gift to unwrap. In the quantum field of your being, all possibilities exist simultaneously, the you who hides and the you who reveals, the you who fears and the you who loves, the you who contracts and the you who expands. Tonight, let the alchemy continue in your dreams. Let your unconscious mind weave together the separated threads of your experience. Let the quantum frequencies of acceptance and integration flow through every cell of your being, creating new neural pathways of wholeness. What if the very thing you've been trying to escape is actually the key to your liberation? What if the shadow you feared holds the exact medicine your soul has been seeking? Rest in this possibility, dear one, and let the sacred alchemy of becoming whole unfold in the gentle darkness of your surrender. Close your eyes now, and feel the gentle rhythm of your breath as it moves through your body like waves against a quiet shore. Your nervous system is speaking to you in this moment, constant ancient language that translates the world into sensations, into stories, into the very fabric of what feels real. Imagine your nervous system as a quantum storyteller, sitting at the center of your being, weaving narratives from the threads of every heartbeat, every breath, every subtle shift in the space around you. This storyteller doesn't speak in words, but in feelings, in the tightness behind your ribs when danger feels near, in the softness that spreads through your chest when safety arrives like morning light. Your body is always listening, always translating the invisible frequencies that surround you. But here's what most people don't understand. Your nervous system doesn't just receive reality, it actively participates in creating it. Like a quantum observer, collapsing infinite possibilities into singular experience, your nervous system chooses which version of reality to bring into being through the lens of safety or threat. When your system whispers danger, your entire field contracts. Your breathing becomes shallow, your muscles tense, your awareness narrows to scan for exits and enemies. In this contracted state, you exist at a frequency that naturally repels the expansive energies of manifestation. It's not that the universe stops responding to you, it's that you've tuned yourself to a channel where abundance feels like a luxury you cannot afford. But when your nervous system sighs into safety, something magical happens. Your field expands like ripples across still water, your breath deepens, your shoulders drop, your heart opens like a flower receiving sunlight. In this regulated state, you become a perfect receiver for quantum possibilities, a living antenna attuned to the frequencies of what wants to emerge through you. Think about the last time you felt truly safe in your body. Perhaps it was lying in someone's arms, or walking alone in nature, or simply sitting in your favorite corner of the world with nothing to prove and nowhere to go. Remember how different everything felt in that moment, how colors seemed richer, how time moved differently, how possibilities felt closer to your fingertips. This is the quantum shift that happens when your nervous system moves from into coherence. It's not just a feeling, it's a fundamental change in how you interface with reality itself. When your body feels safe, it stops broadcasting the frequency of survival and begins resonating with the frequency of creation. Your nervous system carries stories, some inherited from generations before you, some written in the tender years of your childhood, some scribed by experiences that left their mark on your cellular memory. These stories become the lens through which your quantum storyteller interprets every moment. A raised voice might trigger the story of "I am not safe." A moment of solitude might activate the narrative of "I am alone." A new opportunity might awaken the tale of "I am not worthy." But here's the profound truth your body holds. Within every story of contraction lives the seed of its own expansion. Your nervous system, this wise quantum narrator, doesn't just hold the poison, it also holds the antidote. The same system that learned to protect you through hypervigilance can learn to nourish you through presence. The same neural pathways that created patterns of fear can be rewired into pathways of trust. Feel your nervous system now as it responds to these words, to the safety of this moment, to the permission to simply be. Notice how your body begins to soften when it's invited to rest rather than commanded to perform. This softening is not weakness, it's your nervous system remembering its natural state of openness, its innate capacity to receive the quantum frequencies of possibility. When your system lives in chronic hypervigilance, it's like trying to catch butterflies with clenched fists. The very effort to grasp repels what you're trying to attract. But when your nervous system finds its rhythm of safety, Your hands naturally open, and the butterflies, those delicate quantum possibilities, land softly in your palms. Your breath, right now, is teaching your nervous system a new story. Each inhale whispers, there is enough time. Each exhale sighs, there is enough space. Your heart, beating steadily in your chest, drums the rhythm of a nervous system learning to trust the flow of life rather than brace against it. The trauma patterns held in your body aren't your fault, but they are your responsibility, not as a burden, but as a sacred opportunity. Every time you choose presence over protection, every time you breathe space into contraction, every time you meet your nervous system's stories with compassion rather than judgment, you're literally rewiring the quantum field of your experience. Your body remembers what it felt like before the world taught you to armor yourself. Underneath every defensive pattern lives the memory of your original openness, that state of being where you naturally resonated with wonder, with possibility, with the quantum flow of life itself. This is why healing isn't about fixing what's broken, it's about remembering what was never actually lost. Your nervous system's wisdom runs deeper than its wounds. Your body's intelligence is older than its trauma. Your heart's capacity for expansion is stronger than its learned patterns of contraction. Feel yourself sinking deeper now into the safety of this moment, letting your nervous system tell a different story, one where you are held, where you are safe, where you are free to receive all that life wants to offer you. In this regulated state, you become a living bridge between the quantum field of infinite possibility and the physical world of manifest experience. Your nervous system, this quantum storyteller, is always writing the next chapter of your reality. What story will it tell tomorrow? What frequency will it choose to broadcast? What possibilities will it invite to land in the open palms of your existence? Rest now in the knowing that your body holds both the question and the answer, both the wound and the healing, both the story of who you've been and the unwritten tale of who you're becoming. Your nervous system's quantum stories are still being written, and you, in each moment of conscious breath, in each choice toward safety, in each act of self-compassion, you are the author. What will your next chapter say? Let your awareness settle like morning mist upon still water. Feel yourself arriving fully in this moment, where the deepest mysteries of consciousness reveal themselves through the gentlest inquiry. Tonight, we explore one of the most profound secrets of quantum reality, how the quality of your observation shapes not just what you see, but what becomes possible in the field of infinite potential that surrounds you. There is a difference between looking and seeing, between watching and witnessing. You have been observing your life through the lens of accumulated pain for so long that you might have forgotten there was ever another way to perceive. Every glance at your reflection, every assessment of your circumstances, every evaluation of your progress has been filtered through the accumulated residue of disappointment, rejection, and loss. The observer effect in quantum physics tells us something remarkable. The act of observation collapses wave functions, turning infinite possibilities into singular realities. But what most people don't understand is that it's not just your attention that determines which reality manifests, the emotional frequency you carry while you observe. The quantum field responds to the full spectrum of your consciousness, including the wounds that color your perception. When you look at your life through eyes heavy with old pain, you collapse possibilities into patterns that match that pain. When you observe your potential through the filter of past failures, you unconsciously select realities that confirm your wounds. This isn't your fault, it's simply how consciousness works. Your observation is never neutral. It carries within it the full weight of your history, your conditioning, your unexamined beliefs about what you deserve and what's possible for someone like you. But tonight, in this sacred space between wakefulness and sleep, you're learning to observe differently. You're discovering what the mystics have always known, that there exists a quality of awareness that doesn't grasp, doesn't judge, doesn't collapse possibilities into the familiar prison of old patterns. This is the awareness that simply witnesses, that sees without needing to fix or change or improve what it sees. Imagine for a moment that your consciousness is like a camera. For years, you've been taking photographs of your life through a lens smeared with the residue of old tears. Every picture comes out distorted, tinted with the colors of ancient grief. But what if you could gently clean that lens? What if you could learn to see with the clarity of fresh awareness, unmarked by the stories of yesterday's pain? This is not about denying your wounds or pretending your pain doesn't exist. This is about learning to hold your experience with a different quality of attention, one that doesn't collapse every quantum possibility into the same tired patterns. When you observe your life with conscious witnessing instead of reactive analyzing, you create space for new realities to emerge. Your nervous system has been trained to scan for danger, to look for evidence that confirms your deepest fears about yourself and your place in the world. This vigilant observation has kept you safe, but it has also kept you trapped in realities that match the frequency of your protection rather than the frequency of your potential. The observer, who is always braced for disappointment, will find disappointment. The consciousness that expects betrayal will magnetize betrayal. This is not punishment. This is the neutral mechanics of how awareness shapes reality. But you can learn to observe from a different place within yourself. There is a part of your consciousness that exists before your wounds, beneath your conditioning, beyond the reach of old pain. This is the witness, the aspect of your awareness that can see without becoming what it sees, that can observe without being consumed by what it observes. When you look at your circumstances from this witnessing awareness, something extraordinary happens. Instead of collapsing possibilities into the familiar patterns of limitation, you begin to perceive the quantum potential that has always been present but remained invisible to your pain-clouded vision. You start to see doorways where you once saw only walls, possibilities where you once saw only problems, invitations where you once saw only obstacles. This shift in observation is itself a quantum event. The moment you begin to witness your life from love instead of fear, from curiosity instead of judgment, from spacious awareness instead of contracted protection, the very fabric of your reality begins to reorganize itself. The field responds to your new frequency of observation by offering experiences that match this expanded way of seeing. Your healing gaze becomes a sacred instrument of transformation. When you learn to look upon your wounds with compassion instead of shame, upon your mistakes with understanding instead of condemnation, upon your dreams with faith instead of skepticism, you literally alter the quantum probabilities that surround you. You become a conscious participant in the creation of your reality rather than an unconscious victim of your history. This requires practice, like learning to play a new instrument. Your old patterns of observation are deeply grooved, carved into your nervous system through repetition and reinforced by the neural pathways of familiar pain. But consciousness is more flexible than you might imagine. Each moment offers a fresh opportunity to choose how you will observe, what quality of awareness you will bring to your experience. As you rest here tonight, feel yourself beginning to release the tight grip of old ways of seeing. Let your awareness soften, expand, become spacious enough to hold all of your experience without being defined by any of it. This is not detachment. This is love expressing itself as conscious presence, as the willingness to see what is without immediately, needing to make it into what was. The quantum field is always responding to the frequency of your observation. When you observe from wound, you get more experiences to wound you. When you observe from wholeness, you get more experiences that reflect your inherent completeness. When you observe from love, the universe has no choice but to love you back through the infinite creativity of its manifestations. Your consciousness is both the artist and the canvas, the observer and the observed, the question and the answer. How you choose to witness this moment ripples out into quantum possibilities that extend far beyond what your mind can comprehend. Tonight, as you drift toward sleep, practice observing your breath, your body, your thoughts with the gentle curiosity of someone, seeing themselves clearly for the very first time. What new reality might emerge if you could observe your life through eyes unmarked by the pain of yesterday, open to the infinite possibilities that exist in this eternal now. Let your breath find its own gentle rhythm as you settle into this sacred space between day and night. Feel your body releasing the weight it has carried, allowing gravity to hold you with the same unconditional tenderness that the earth extends to every growing thing. Tonight, we explore something your ancestors understood intuitively, that tending your energetic field is as essential as caring for your physical body, and far more mysterious in its profound effects. Imagine, if you will, that your energy field is like a pristine mountain stream. In its natural state, this stream flows effortlessly downhill, following the path of least resistance, nourishing everything it touches. The water moves with perfect quantum flow, each molecule knowing exactly where it belongs, responding instantaneously to the landscape it encounters, carrying life force to wherever it's needed most. But over time, debris begins to accumulate in this sacred waterway. A fallen branch of an unprocessed argument, leaves of accumulated resentment, stones of swallowed words that were never spoken. Gradually, these emotional fragments create dams and blockages, causing the once clear stream of your life force to become stagnant, murky, overwhelming in some places, and completely dry in others. This is what happens when you carry the undigested experiences of living. Each day you encounter moments that require your energy to shift, adapt, and respond. Sometimes these moments flow through you like water through an open hand. Other times, they stick, creating what quantum physicists might call interference. Patterns in your personal field disturbances that affect how smoothly your intentions can manifest into reality. Allow your nervous system to recognize the safety in acknowledging this without judgment. You are not broken because your stream has collected debris. You are human, and humans are sensitive instruments that register every interaction, every emotion, every subtle shift in the energy around them. The question is not how to avoid accumulating these energetic fragments, but how to tend them with the same gentle consistency you might use to care for a beloved garden. Energy hygiene is not about spiritual bypassing that dangerous practice of pretending everything is light and love while shadow emotions fester in the basement of your psyche. True energetic cleansing requires the courage to turn toward what you've been avoiding, to meet your accumulated pain with the same compassion you would offer a frightened child. Seeking comfort in the middle of the night, feel your breath deepening. Naturally, as you consider this, your body already knows how to release what no longer serves. Every exhale is an act of letting go, every inhale an invitation for fresh life force to enter your system. This is your blueprint for energetic cleansing, a rhythm as natural as breathing, as essential as your heartbeat, as gentle as morning dew forming on grass. When you encounter a pocket of stuck energy, perhaps the heaviness in your chest from yesterday's difficult conversation, or the tension in your shoulders from carrying worries that aren't truly yours, the first impulse might be to push it away, to force it out through sheer willpower. But resistance creates more resistance. Fighting your own energy creates turbulence in your quantum field, like trying to clear muddy water by stirring it more vigorously. Instead, imagine approaching these blockages the way a skilled gardener tends to compacted soil. You don't attack the earth, you gently aerate it, adding organic matter, allowing air and water to penetrate naturally. You work with the soil's inherent wisdom, supporting its natural desire to be fertile and life-giving. This same principle applies to your energetic field. That heaviness in your chest wants to move. Your body's intelligence is already working to process and release it. Your job is not to force the process, but to create optimal conditions for natural flow to resume. Sometimes this means simply acknowledging what you're carrying. I notice I'm holding tension about tomorrow's meeting. I see you, anxiety. You're trying to keep me safe. Notice how your body responds to this kind of gentle recognition. There's often a subtle softening, a barely perceptible shift that indicates your nervous system feels seen and heard. This acknowledgement alone begins to dissolve the energetic blockage. Like warm water slowly melting ice, your quantum flow operates according to principles that your analytical mind might find paradoxical. The more you try to control your energy, the more chaotic it becomes. The more you resist what you're feeling, the stronger its grip on your system. But when you approach your inner landscape with curious compassion, something magical happens. The natural intelligence of your field begins to reassert itself. Think of how water naturally purifies itself as it flows. Moving water doesn't accumulate debris because it's in constant motion, constantly releasing, constantly renewing. Your energy field has this same self-cleansing capacity when it's allowed to flow freely. The practices that support this flow are often surprisingly simple. Conscious breathing, gentle movement, spending time in nature, creative expression, honest conversation with trusted friends. But perhaps the most powerful practice is the one that requires no doing at all, simply being present with whatever you're experiencing without trying to fix, change, or improve it. This presence creates what quantum physics calls a coherent fielder, state where all the scattered fragments of your energy begin to align and harmonize naturally. As you rest here tonight, feel into any areas of your body that seem to be holding onto the day's experiences. Maybe there's a knot of frustration between your shoulder blades, or a pool of sadness sitting heavy in your belly. Instead of trying to make these sensations go away, imagine breathing curious kindness directly into them. Picture your breath as golden light, not trying to push out the darkness, but simply illuminating what's already there. This illumination is itself a form of energetic hygiene. When you shine the light of conscious awareness into the shadowy corners of your inner world, you're not trying to eliminate what you find there. You're creating the conditions for natural transformation to occur, like a plant that's been kept in darkness suddenly receiving sunlight. Your stuck energy begins to shift and move simply because it's finally being witnessed with love. Your ancestors understood that energy hygiene was a communal practice. They gathered in circles to share stories, to sing together, to move their bodies in rhythm with the earth's pulse. They knew that individual healing happens within the context of collective support. that your personal quantum flow is enhanced when it's witnessed and celebrated by others who understand the sacred nature of this work. In our modern world, you might need to create these circles for yourself. Perhaps it's a weekly call with a trusted friend where you each share what you're carrying and what you're ready to release. Maybe it's a dance in your living room to music that moves the emotions through your body, or it could be as simple as writing in a journal, allowing your pen to become a conduit for energy that needs to move from your inner world onto paper, where it can be acknowledged and then composted into wisdom. The key is consistency rather than intensity. Energy hygiene is not about dramatic purging or forcing breakthrough moments. It's about the gentle, daily tending that allows your natural flow to remain clear and vibrant. Like brushing your teeth or tending a garden, it's the small, repeated actions that create the most profound long-term effects. As you drift towards sleep, imagine your energy field as that mountain stream once again, now flowing freely after the gentle removal of accumulated debris. Feel how the water moves effortlessly around rocks, carving new channels when needed, always finding its way toward the ocean of infinite possibility. Your quantum flow knows where it wants to go. Your only task is to keep the channel clear and trust the natural intelligence that moves through. What would it feel like to wake tomorrow with energy that flows like clear water, responsive to your highest intentions and unencumbered by yesterday's accumulated weight? Breathe with me now, letting your body sink deeper into this moment of rest. Feel the weight of your limbs becoming heavy, as if gravity itself is inviting you to surrender completely. Your nervous system recognizes this invitation to let go. The way a river knows to flow toward the ocean, there comes a sacred moment in every healing journey, when you stop running from the parts of yourself you've been taught to hide, when the energy you've spent keeping your shadow at bay becomes available for something far more powerful, the full expression of who you truly are. Your shadow has been waiting for this recognition, not lurking in darkness as some malevolent force, but holding space with infinite patience for the day you would turn toward it with curiosity instead of fear. Like the dark side of the moon that makes the full moon possible, your shadow contains the very qualities that complete your wholeness. The anger you learned to suppress carries within it your fierce protection of what you love. The sadness you pushed away holds your capacity for profound empathy. The fear you tried to overcome contains your sensitivity to energy, your ability to sense what others cannot. These aren't flaws to be fixed, they're frequencies of power waiting to be integrated. True manifestation doesn't emerge from the polished, perfected version of yourself that you present to the world. It flows from the raw, authentic totality of your human experience. Your quantum field responds not to your masks, but to your truth. When you try to manifest from only half of yourself, you create from a state of energetic incoherence, like trying to sing a song while holding your breath. But when shadow and light begin their sacred dance of integration, something extraordinary happens. Your energy field becomes coherent, aligned, whole. The internal war between who you think you should be and who you actually are finally ends. The frequency you broadcast becomes clear, strong, undeniable. This is quantum entanglement at the deepest level of your being. Your light aspects and shadow aspects become so intimately connected that they can no longer be separated. When you honor your anger, your gentleness becomes more authentic. When you embrace your vulnerability, your strength becomes unshakable. When you welcome your darkness, your light shines without effort. Your body knows this truth even when your mind resists it. Feel how your breathing deepens when you stop trying to be perfect. Notice how your muscles relax when you give yourself permission to be human. Your nervous system has been waiting for this integration, this coming home to the full spectrum of your experience. The parts of yourself you've rejected don't disappear when you turn away from them, they simply operate outside your conscious awareness, influencing your choices, your relationships, your capacity to receive what you desire. They whisper their needs through symptoms and patterns, through the very experiences you keep manifesting despite your best intentions. But when you invite these exiled aspects back into conscious relationship, they transform from saboteurs into allies. The inner critic that once paralyzed you becomes discerning wisdom. The perfectionist that exhausted you becomes dedication to excellence. The rebel that got you in trouble becomes the revolutionary courage to live your authentic truth. This integration doesn't happen through force or analysis. It unfolds through the gentle alchemy of loving awareness. When you approach your shadow with the same tenderness you would offer a frightened child, something miraculous occurs. The energy that was locked in resistance begins to flow freely. The frequency that was distorted by rejection becomes pure, clear, powerful. Your quantum field reorganizes itself around this new coherence. The interference patterns created by internal conflict dissolve. The mixed signals that confused your manifestation process clarify into a single, strong transmission. You begin to attract experiences that honor your complete being rather than feeding only your wounds or inflating only your ego. This is when true manifestation power emerges, not from the effort to be someone else, but from the courage to be fully yourself. Your desires align with your authentic nature. Your actions flow from integrated wisdom rather than fragmented impulses. Your energy becomes magnetic, not because you've perfected yourself, but because you've accepted yourself completely. People feel this integration when they're in your presence. There's something solid, reliable, real about your energy that draws them in. You're no longer performing the exhausting dance of hiding parts of yourself while amplifying others. You simply exist as you are, complex, multifaceted, beautifully human. Your shadow gifts begin to serve your highest expression. The intensity that once overwhelmed others becomes the passion that inspires them. The sensitivity that felt like a burden becomes the intuitive radar that guides you toward your purpose. The depth that made you feel different becomes the well from which you draw wisdom to serve the world. This wholeness naturally attracts experiences that match your integrated frequency. Relationships that celebrate all of you rather than demanding you diminish yourself. Opportunities that engage your full range of talents and interests. Circumstances that challenge you to grow while honoring where you are right now. You stop needing to choose between being spiritual and being human, between being loving and being boundaried, between being successful and being authentic. The quantum field responds to your integration by offering you experiences where these seeming opposites dance together in perfect harmony. As you rest here in this recognition, feel how different your energy becomes when you stop rejecting any part of yourself. Notice the way your breathing flows more freely when you're not holding anything back. Observe how your body settles more deeply when it's not carrying the tension of internal warfare. Your nervous system begins to recognize this integration as the safest state of all. No longer expending energy to maintain the illusion of perfection, it can direct its resources toward healing, creativity, connection, joy. The fight or flight response that kept you vigilant against your own shadow can finally rest, The parts of yourself that you once experienced as enemies become dance partners. Your fierce protector learns to work with your gentle nurturer. Your inner rebel joins forces with your responsible adult. Your sensitive feeler collaborates with your logical thinker. They no longer compete for control, they contribute their unique gifts to the symphony of your becoming. This is the frequency of authentic power. Not power over others or circumstances, but power that emerges from the full ownership of who you are. Your manifestation capacity expands exponentially because you're no longer creating from a divided self. You're drawing from the infinite well of your complete human experience. The universe responds to this integration with opportunities that surprise and delight you. Doors open that you didn't even know you were hoping for. People appear who see and celebrate your wholeness. Resources flow that support your authentic expression rather than demanding you compromise your truth. Rest now in this knowing. Let your body soften completely into the truth that you don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You don't need to be flawless to be worthy of love. You don't need to hide your humanity to access your divinity. Your shadow and light are quantum, entangled in the most beautiful way. They need each other, complete each other, make each other more beautiful through their eternal dance. As sleep begins to call you home, feel this integration settling into your cells, your nervous system, your energy field. What new possibility wants to emerge from this wholeness as you dream, as you settle into this final, gentle journey together? Imagine yourself as a tuning fork that has found its perfect pitch. All the scattered frequencies of your being, every healed wound, every integrated shadow, every welcomed emotion, now vibrate in exquisite harmony. This is quantum coherence, the sacred state where manifestation flows as naturally as water finding its way to the sea. Feel your breath deepening, creating space for this truth to settle into your bones. When you are no longer fragmented, when you no longer leak precious energy through the cracks of self-abandonment, something magnificent occurs. Your entire being begins to pulse with unified intention, like stars aligning to create a constellation of possibility. Think of laser light. How ordinary light becomes extraordinary when all its waves move in perfect synchronization. This is what happens within you when wholeness replaces woundedness as your default frequency. Your thoughts no longer contradict your heart. Your emotions no longer sabotage your dreams. Your energy field becomes a coherent signal that the quantum universe can clearly receive and respond to. In the space between your heartbeats. Notice the stillness that exists when internal conflict dissolves. This is the fertile void from which your authentic desires are born, not from the desperate grasping of an unhealed ego, but from the quiet knowing of a soul that remembers its own completeness. For so long, you may have tried to manifest from a place of lack, pushing against reality with the force of unfulfilled longing. But tonight, you discover the gentle power of creating from wholeness. When you no longer need the external world to complete you, you become available to dance with it in ways that seemed impossible before. Your nervous system recognizes this shift. The constant vigilance required to manage competing inner voices begins to dissolve. The exhausting effort of trying to manifest while simultaneously believing you're unworthy finally comes to rest. In its place, a deep cellular knowing emerges. You are already whole, already worthy, already connected to the infinite creative potential of existence. This is not spiritual bypassing or positive thinking. This is the profound recognition that healing transforms the very frequency from which you engage with reality. When your inner world is no longer at war with itself, your outer world begins to reflect this peace. The observer effect ensures that what you consistently embody becomes what you consistently experience. Feel the quantum field responding to your integrated presence. Like iron filings drawn to a magnet, possibilities begin to align themselves. With your coherent energy, opportunities that were once invisible suddenly become apparent. Synchronicities that seemed random reveal themselves as responses to your unified vibration. Your manifestations begin to carry a different quality. They arise not from the frantic energy of trying to fill an inner void, but from the overflow of a heart that has learned to love all aspects of itself. This shift changes everything. You no longer attract from neediness, but from authenticity. You no longer create from fear, but from the deep trust that comes when you know yourself completely. Imagine your desires are seeds that have been waiting for the right soil. That soil is your healed wholeness, rich with acceptance, nourished by self-compassion, warmed by the light of your own awareness. In this fertile ground, your authentic dreams take root naturally, growing not because you force them, but because the conditions for their flowering finally exist. The quantum frequency of coherence begins to permeate every cell of your being. Your DNA itself starts to vibrate with the remembrance of your wholeness. Neural pathways that once carried the electrical signals of self-doubt begin to rewire themselves, creating new circuits of self-trust and creative confidence. You discover that manifestation was never about manipulating external circumstances. It was always about aligning with the truth of who you are when nothing needs to be hidden, when nothing needs to be fixed, when nothing needs to be other than what it already is. From this place of radical acceptance, your energy becomes a clear transmission that reality can mirror back to you. Notice how your body responds to this coherence. Tension that you didn't even realize you were carrying begins to release. Your breath becomes fuller, reaching places in your lungs that chronic stress had forgotten. Your heart rate synchronizes with the rhythm of your authentic desires, creating a biological symphony of alignment. This is quantum manifestation in its truest form, not the desperate attempt to bend reality to your will, but the graceful dance of allowing reality to respond to your integrated truth. When all parts of you are moving in the same direction, when your conscious and unconscious minds are finally on the same team, the universe has no choice but to reflect this unity. Back to you, your relationships begin to transform. You attract people who resonate with your wholeness rather than those who match your wounds. Professional opportunities arise that honor your authentic gifts rather than exploit your unhealed patterns. Even challenges that appear in your life carry a different quality. They come not as punishments, but as invitations to deepen your coherence, to strengthen your alignment, to remember even more fully who you truly are. The quantum field is infinitely intelligent. It responds not to your words, but to your energetic signature, not to your intentions, but to your actual state of being. When that state is one of integrated wholeness, when your energy field pulses with the coherence of self-love, the field begins to reorganize itself around your highest potential. Feel yourself sinking deeper into this truth. You are no longer the person who manifests from desperation or creates from compensation. You have become the one who generates reality from the steady ground of self-acceptance, who dreams from the spacious sky of inner peace, who acts from the unshakable foundation of knowing your own worth. This coherence is not something you achieve once and then maintain forever. It is a living practice, a moment-by-moment choice to honor all aspects of your experience while staying aligned with your deepest truth. Each time you choose integration over fragmentation, wholeness over woundedness, you strengthen the quantum frequency of coherence within your being. Your sleep tonight becomes a sacred laboratory where this coherence deepens. As your conscious mind releases its grip on control, your unconscious wisdom continues the work of alignment. Dreams become spaces where your integrated self explores new possibilities, where quantum potentials reveal themselves as lived experiences, where the frequency of wholeness expands into every corner of your psyche. The manifestations that emerge from this coherent state carry a signature of effortlessness. They arise with perfect timing, unfold with natural grace, and feel like remembrances rather than achievements. You realize you were never creating something new. You were simply allowing what was already yours to find its way into form. As you drift toward sleep, let your entire being attune to this frequency of quantum coherence. Let every cell remember what it feels like to be united rather than divided, aligned rather than scattered, whole rather than fragmented. Let your nervous system calibrate the vibration of integrated manifestation, where desire and fulfillment exist in perfect harmony. Your authentic desires are not random wishes, but sacred communications from your soul. When you manifest from wholeness, you give these desires the clean channel they need to move from quantum potential into physical reality. The field responds to your coherence with opportunities, synchronicities, and manifestations that honor both your humanness and your divine nature. Tomorrow, you will carry this coherence into your waking life. But for now, rest in the knowing that your work is complete. You have remembered how to be whole. You have learned to manifest from love rather than lack. You have become the conscious observer of your own infinite potential. What dreams will visit you tonight from this place of quantum coherence? What possibilities will whisper themselves into existence as you sleep in the frequency of your own wholeness?